Hello everyone, hope all is well today. My name is Gilles Lamotte. Today we will discuss importing data with R. Okay, so I'm going to open up a spreadsheet. Here it's going to be an Excel spreadsheet, but it's not necessary to use Excel. You can use any spreadsheet that you want. For example, if you Google Open Office, you can download a free package which called Open Office that has a spreadsheet. Okay, and so here in Excel I have two columns. These are going to be variables, and which are going to be describing our statistical units. Okay, so the rows are going to be the statistical units. So this is a standard format with R, which is called a data frame. Okay, so with the data frame we have statistical units in our rows. Here our statistical units are mother-daughter pairs, and then we use variables to describe the units. And so here I have two variables which will describe each unit by giving the height of the daughter and the height of the mother in centimeters. Okay, and so I'm going to save this data frame as a text delimited file. So I'll go File, I'll go Save As, and then I'll save in my documents on my computer, but you can save at whatever location that you want. And then it's very important that you save type as text tab delimited. Okay, so select text tab delimited, and then so I'll save. All right, oops, and so I had already saved this. Okay, now I'm going to go to R, and then I'm going to use a function called read.table, which will create a data frame from data inside of a file. Okay, and so my data frame, I'll call it data, but you can use whatever name that you want. I'll use an equal sign to assign the data frame to data, and then use the function called read.table. First argument will be file.choose, and this is to force R to open up a window to ask me where is this file, and then second argument is going to be header equal to true, and so this tells R that in the first row in my text file I have the names of my columns. By default, R actually thinks that you do not have names in your file, but I like to give names to my variables. And then the last argument is going to be sep, and then oops, I have to restart, sorry about that. And so I have data equal to read.table. I have file.choose as the first argument, header equal to true, and then I have sep, which is equal to in quotation marks I have /t. /t is to indicate to R that we use tabs to delimit our columns. Okay, so as I press enter, R is going to open up a window and then to ask me to browse for my document. The name of my file is mother-daughter, and then select it, and then now I have imported data. And to verify that data is actually a data frame, I can use a function called isData.frame. So is data a data frame, and R responds yes. Okay, true. Now I can use a function called names to display the names of my columns. So names of data, and so I see I have two names. One is called daughter, one is called mother. To access these columns, what I need to do is use the name of my data frame, which is data, $, and then the name of the column. Okay, and so if I just press enter, this will display the first column. So essentially it's just the heights of all daughters in the data set. I could also access the first column by not using the name, but rather with square parentheses, and then I use a comma 1. So this gives me all the rows, but just the first column. So these are the daughters. So if I enter 2 instead of 1 for the column, this will give me the heights of the mothers. So to verify that this is actually the mothers, okay, so I'll use the notation data, which is the name of my data frame, $mother. Okay, and so for example, if I want to compute the mean or get a summary, so a table of descriptive statistics for the heights of the mothers. So then I use the name of my data frame, $, the name of the column, which is called mother, and then put that inside of my summary function. And now I have some descriptive statistics for the heights of the mothers. I can also use the function called boxplot and create a box plot with the heights of the mothers, comma, with the heights of my daughters, and then I have a side-by-side box plot of the heights of the mothers against daughters. Notice that R did not put names. We can add an extra argument here, names, for our two groups. The first group is the mothers, and then the second group is the daughters. And so here, whoops, I use an argument, called names. I need to use the C function to combine my names. So the first name is going to be mothers, and then comma, and then the second name will be daughters. And so now I have side-by-side box plots with mothers and daughters. Okay. Now let's do a second example. So I'll go back to my Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to open up another file. It's going to be another data set. I'm going to browse for it. I'll go to all files, and then I save the file, which is called lettuce. So I'll open up the file. Okay, so Excel notices that it's a text file and asks me if my columns are delimited, and then I said yes, it was delimited by tabs. Okay, so now I have two columns. Here we have two variables that describe each statistical unit. The statistical unit in this case is actually some lettuce. We computed the dry weight for this lettuce, and then we give the status. So the status is going to say if the lettuce was actually in competition, and so if it says lettuce alone, it was not in competition. If I go down my spreadsheet, I see some of the lettuce which is indicated to be with spinach. So this means that the lettuce was actually in competition with spinach. Okay. And so we have here data from two independent populations. Some lettuce were in competition with spinach, and then some lettuce in some other population that we will consider as coming from an independent population were actually not in competition with spinach. Okay, so here I have another data frame. Okay, so I'm going to save as a text tab delimited file, so save as. I'm going to save it in my documents, save as type text tab delimited, and I'm going to call the file lettuce. Okay, so I'm going to, oops, so this has been saved as a text tab delimited file. Okay, and then if I go to R, and then I'm going to find my read.table command, and instead of calling it data, I'm going to call it lettuce, just to give another name to my data frame. So I'm going to create a data frame called lettuce with the function read.table. Remember, file.choose forces R to open up a window to indicate to R where is the file. Header equal to true because our first row has names of columns, and then we have a text file which has the columns delimited by tabs, and so we have sep is equal to /t. Okay, and so as I enter my command, R is going to open up a window, and then I need to tell R where is this file. Okay, so I need to browse for it. I saved it under my documents, and then the name is called lettuce. All right, so then as I use the name, the function called names, I put my data frame inside of this function, and then I see that I have two variables. One is the dry weight. Notice that R put a dot. R doesn't like spaces between for a name of a variable, and so we put a dot instead of the space. So the name of the variable is dry weight. So for example, I can compute the mean of all the dry weights. So the name of my data frame is lettuce, and then I use $, and then the name of my variable, okay, which is dry weight. So this is the mean of the dry weight for all the lettuce in the data set. Now, usually when we have samples from independent populations, we would like to have the mean for each one of the groups. for the lettuce that were in competition and for the lettuce that were not in competition. So there's a nice function in R called aggregate. Okay, and then I'll introduce you to a formula notation. So here I want to compute the mean of the dry weight. So I'll have the dry weight. I use the tilt, which is near the escape key, so a tilt. And then I want the dry weight as a function of lettuce. So I have dry weight tilt, so this means function of, and then lettuce. And then as the second argument, I'll put in the name of my data frame, which is lettuce. And then I put in as my last argument the function that I want to compute. So here I want to compute the mean. Oh, sorry. It's not the function of lettuce, it's a function of status. So if we go back to the names of our variables, the categorical variable is called status. So I have the dry weight as a function of the status. Okay, and so now I have the mean of the dry weight for the lettuce that were not in competition, and then I have the mean of the dry weight for the lettuce that were in competition. Okay, I can compute many different things. I can compute the standard deviation for the two groups. I can even use the summary function. So now I have a summary for the both groups, and then we can also use this idea of a formula notation inside the box plot function. So if I put inside the box plot that I want the dry weight as a function of status from the data frame called lettuce, and then this will create side-by-side box plots. All right, so this is how we import data with R. By creating a table of data inside of a spreadsheet, saving it as a text tab delimited file, and then created a data frame using the read.table function with R. All right, so thank you.